welcome to another episode of We're Not Wizards. This is another quick start to the Kickstart episode. My name's Richard, and I shall be your host for this evening. And joining me for tonight is kind of like a repeat offenders edition as well, because we have Justin Morgan Davis from Bad Cat Games, who is here to talk about the launch of the relaunch of the Elemenz campaign. So good evening, Justin.
Hey there. Yes, I feel properly in the cage now you said that.
How are you this evening?
Doing well. Yeah, thanks. Yourself?
Good stuff. I am, busy, I think, is at the moment. We've got the UK Games Expo coming up. I think it's this weekend, which is always exciting for good people. Elemenz is launching, is it tomorrow?
No,
or day after?
Yeah, day after. It's launching 31st, 6 p.m. in the evening. So yeah, I'll be right there for Games Expo. So
absolutely
exciting
fantastic.
And scary in equal measure, I think.
Now, we're going to, obviously you launched, last time we spoke was back in February.
Yes.
I was looking back today and I was looking back, when did I speak to Justin? And then I realised it was February time, so we're back here. For people who haven't joined us before, because I don't want to be rude and assume that anybody knows what we're talking about, and I certainly don't know what I'm talking about, welcome to the show. The reason that we do this is because there are quite simply not enough podcasts about board games. The joke is getting thin, but I'm going to carry on with it until somebody stops me. The other reason that we do this, it is always nice to catch up with old friends and buddies of the show, and Justin is no exception, because you and I met at Tabletop Day.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, that was a good day.
Fine. That was a good day. There was a lot of fun had by all.
A lot of hilarity. Yeah, what happened to the Charlie's Angels thing? Wasn't that a plan we had?
I think so. I think we're still going to do that. I think there's going to be a kind of a potential maybe a 3-way episode or a 3-way meetup, because you, myself, and Mark McKinnon of Wreck and Ruin fame. Thank you, Bez, for that.
Yeah.
This is always a good one for coming up with our sayings. We met at the Tabletop Day, which was at Dwarf, and we decided to do a Charlie's Angels pose, because when you got 3 guys together, it's the law. You have to do that pose.
I didn't know that, but yeah, it was good.
I think it's just, it has to be done every kind of single time. So you ran the campaign with Elemenz. That was back in February, and it didn't go entirely to kind of plan. So the dissection on it, do you want to talk about why you think it kind of maybe didn't go to plan, or do you want to skip straight into why it's new and improved and more exciting?
No, I think it's all of those things. I mean, I wouldn't say it didn't go according to plan. I think, that was our first time on Kickstarter. You get an awful lot of advice from other people that have been there, and other people that are willing to give you advice without having been on Kickstarter as well. And I think it's only natural that you can make various mistakes, but I think it was a case particularly that we didn't necessarily fail, but our funding goal was too high for a starting company, basically. And the fact it's very hard, I think, for many of the UK companies, for the sort of Brit indie crowd, to get enough reach in America, say for their first time, especially on Kickstarter, as opposed to something like Indiegogo or any of these others. So it is quite tricky, because all the noise out there is everything that's going on at all the big game shows that they have there. I mean, I think there's 2 at least big ones that are running just this weekend. So I think it's a case of, in our case, just not enough having enough reach over in America to really drum up some interest and get people on there backing early. But we actually pulled the plug on it first because we wanted to rethink some things and replan. And I suppose fundamentally for us, certainly we feel that Kickstarter has become much more of a showcase for finished products than new designers saying we've got an idea, we've got a prototype. You look back in Kickstarters over the say that it's 3 years back, and there's a
Yeah.
lot more companies, a lot more indie developers that are saying we've got a prototype. This is a great game, a great idea. We need some support to make it happen. If without your help as backers, we cannot make this exist. It will not exist. And I think
Mhm.
that has dramatically changed now, certainly from what we've seen. And it's not just us, it's not just me saying this, it's the other sort of indie developers here in the UK that have said, well, more or less the same thing. And so I think it's much more, the quality of standard has increased dramatically, exponentially. And you've got new indie designers that are coming along and laying out a new product, a new game with all the whistles and bells that you get on Kickstarter. And they look so good. They're so professional, with such professional quality and so quality standards basically, and attention to detail, that I think there's no room for, or a lot less room for, small individual indie developers to come along and say, I've got a prototype, help, I need help to make this happen, sort of thing. So I think in our case, we always said with the first Kickstarter that the boards that from the game, the components that we had were in a state of flux because they were still being developed in terms of the graphic design. The artwork was all
Yeah.
there, but the graphic design wasn't there. And in fact, we had a stretch goal that was specifically to help us with completing that graphic design. But I think now that was a mistake, because I think, as I just said, it's a case you have to put all of that work in advance and put that money in advance to get that product finished before you then put it on Kickstarter now. And there's such a huge number of games. I think I looked just yesterday, and there's something like 530 games currently, or
Yeah.
in the tabletop
Yeah.
gaming
Yeah.
category on Kickstarter at the moment. Nobody is ever going to look through 530 games on Kickstarter unless they're like crazy fanatics. So you've got to have a product that stands out, and what's effectively an unfinished product is not going to cut the mustard anymore. So that's the big change. So all that to say that we've jumped ahead. We were busy moving ahead and developing the product even when we were on Kickstarter, but
Yeah.
since then, the last couple of months have flown by, and we have very much a complete product here now, and a much stronger product, that we say it ourselves, we think. And certainly, reviewers coming back, yeah, reviewers coming back and saying, "Oh, the components of the game look so much more groovy and exciting than the original versions." So we're obviously on the right track. We're doing the right thing. So fingers crossed. As I was saying to you just off air before we started, we've got 3 or 4 new reviewers, or reviewers that we haven't used before, if you like, in America, who
Yeah.
are currently have copies of the game. So they'll be bringing out reviews during the course of this Kickstarter. So hopefully, without actually being able to spend 6 months or a year over in America and go to all the cons ourselves, this is the next best thing, is to make sure that the American reviewers, some of them at least, have seen the game and make comments on the game and see what they say, And
Is it
yeah,
becoming less of an ideas place and more of a money place? Is it almost like there's now a qualification that
yeah,
you have to have some money behind you? I mean, I can't just rock up with my decent kind of self-designed miniatures and my decent kind of artwork that I've done myself. I have to get like a finished product, because we spoke to like Ian Schofield
right, yeah,
just last week, and
yeah,
he's done all the design. I mean, he's finished everything off. It looks like a completely finished game.
that's
I
exactly right.
don't
Yeah,
think he would have been able to get as far as you got with just having you, as you said, like, here's some place markers, this is what it's going to be like, we need this money to kind of get an artist. It's almost like, if you're doing Kickstarter, you better have 4 or 5 grand behind you plus the rest to get kind of going, and your funding goal is going towards paying back some of that investment that you've kind of put in.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, and I think Ian's project, because he relaunched that shortly
Yeah,
after not reaching his goal the first time, and I think that's exactly it. His product just looks great now. All the art's there. Honestly can't remember, to be fair, what it looked like before, but certainly I mean, I've been on Kickstarter having a look at other projects and sort of comparing ours to theirs, and you do see some on there that you think that's still a prototype stage. It's no good now saying, right, this is a character board, this is a player
yeah,
character you get in the game, but it's basically, I don't know, a white sheet with some boxes and some text on. That doesn't work anymore, because you can't you don't your average backer is going to spend, I don't know, like 5 or 10 seconds looking at each potential project that even catches their eye. So,
yeah.
if you're not there with some pizzazz that catches their attention, then it's totally understandable that they'll just move away. And
Hmm.
so, yeah, you're absolutely right. That's really what we're getting at. So certainly in terms of Elements, yeah. The game's not changed. The core gameplay's not changed. But one thing we have done, which I must
Yeah.
remember to mention, is that yeah, it's
Because we went, this is
oh
this is
yeah,
the
that
conversation that we
we
had.
had
Me and
before.
Justin
Mm.
said, don't go off on tangents. We're not going to be spending a massive amount of time on the show tonight, because we just said, well, let's just have like a
Yeah,
quick
quick
chat.
catch up. Yeah.
But whatever you do, Richard, don't go off on one of your stupid flipping tangents, which means
Oh,
that I
I never
completely
said that.
forget what I was going to say.
I never said that. But I am sitting here in my shorts, ticking things off as I say them.
Do you know what? Ian Schofield sent me a message though, going, we had like beer labels to talk about on the show, and I completely
Yes,
forgot,
they
because
are excellent.
you
Yeah.
insisted on talking about flipping Cthulhu having pink donuts,
Oh yeah.
and I'm trying to remember about talking to you about kind of beer labels, and I was like,
Mm.
okay, my bad.
Yeah,
But I
see, those
can't
beer
do like
labels
a
are great.
I can't do like a Frank West show, which is when you spend an entire show not talking about somebody's game and then feel you have to get them back on to talk about their game,
Well, it's a
which is
cunning
always
plan. It's a very cunning plan.
I think it works quite well.
Oh, yeah.
I think it works quite well. When we went to Tabletop Day, the Elemenz stuff was taken up because you had a couple of people playing it. It was
A couple. That
quite a
sounds
few. Well,
terrible. No,
when I was there,
yeah,
it
you were
was
there
it was
for
full.
what, 5 minutes
Yeah,
or something.
I was there for a good 2 or 3 hours.
Yeah, yeah. No, yeah, it was great. I mean, new bunch of people, never
Hmm.
met them before, although they are sort of effectively just up the road from us. But yeah, new group, and there was like dads with kids and grown-up gamers, gamers that I can see are clearly more role players and the like. And
Yeah.
yeah, they had a blast with it. To be fair, I think some of them prefer Gladiators, which of course is our second game coming on. But no, Elements just is. If you like dice chucking games, as the Brian from Cloak and Meeples said earlier today, if you like dice chucking games, then Elements looks like fun. You know, and
That's what
you
you
can't,
want.
yeah, you can't say fair in that, because that's exactly what it is. And it's a weird thing because um oddly enough, I feel it has more in common with a sort of dice management, or not really dice placement games, but certainly dice management games. So I can, as a sort of designer, I can see that it has things in common with something like Castles of Burgundy, for example, than it say might do with something like Bang the Dice Game or King of Tokyo or
Yeah.
something like that,
Yeah.
because it isn't just a chuck your dice down, calculate a score, match it up
No.
to various things, and then score points against your opponent until one of you reaches zero and they're out, sort of thing. No, it's much more of a dice management game, because the dice themselves are your life points. They're equivalent to your hit points. So you need the dice for your offense, you need them for your defense, but they're also your life points. So every single one, because there's 4 players, 3 to 4 players, but each of
Yeah.
them has a maximum of 7 dice, and that's your life points. And everything you can do in the game is based on those 7 dice. So every single dice that you lose really feels like a major body blow. And that's exactly how I feel the game feels different, or how we think the game feels different to quite a few of these sort of player elimination sort of dice games, where you've got characters and you're trying to, I don't know, fight some kind of battle or something.
Yeah,
And
no.
but that's only one part of it really, because and here's me ticking off one of my notes.
Do
It's
we have a bell? Do we have a bell
no,
every time
we
we can have
yeah, a little
Justin?
thing.
Justin ticks it off.
You can put that in the edit if you want. Yeah.
Oh, don't tell me I'm not going to edit.
Yeah. So no, we should have a bell, definitely. But
Ding. There you go.
good, perfect. That'll do. Yeah, so what we've done for this Kickstarter, I mean, everybody, that's the reason we all go on Kickstarter. We love supporting Kickstarters as well. And it's, to be fair, it's not just the game you get, it's the pimping your game that everybody loves, the upgrades and everything. And it's just,
Yeah.
we felt this time round, well, look, if we can push the funding goal for Elements down as low as possible and basically sub-fund it ourselves out of money that we're basically putting aside for future games, sort of
Yeah.
which are already in sort of pre-development, pre-production, God knows, various different stages. But the important thing is Elements is a good game and we want to get it out there. So we want to throw everything we can at it. And I think, as obviously as a publishing company, even a starting publishing company, that's exactly what you should do, of course. We want to make sure that the backers on Kickstarter get everything we could possibly get them. And so one of the original stretch goals was to upgrade the dice. Because a lot of these Kickstarters do sort of start off with very basic level dice, maybe screen printed rather than engraved, and sort of basic colors and stuff, and then upgrade through the stretch goals. But we looked long and hard after the other Kickstarter, and we said, when it comes down to it, everybody loves these upgraded dice, so why can't we just give them to all the backers from day one? And just be done with it, and not go through this silly game of, if we reach this, we can, change from screen printing to engraving. And then, because I mean, each of those things costs extra, of course, in terms of production.
Yeah, of course it does.
So every single upgrade that we do costs more in the manufacturing. But, it's one of these things. Everybody loves the game with the fancy dice. So why can't we just give them the fancy dice from day one? So that's what we're going to do. And above and beyond that, we're also including what we're calling the Avatar tile expansion, which is basically like it is a mini expansion to the game. It's an add-on that shakes up the tactics of the game a bit more, gives players more option of where to spend their dice to get stuff to do. And so that again was an expansion that we were going to have as a stretch goal, but we said, you know what, we can probably squeeze a basic set of these onto some of the other punch boards. So let's do it, and let's offer it from day one, because we've all played it, and we've play tested this a lot with playtesters, and the reviewers have got the Avatar expansion with them, and the feedback is, yeah, this is fun. It's great that you don't have to include it in the game. The core game is still there, it's not changed, but these are just like add-ons, which, from, if you like, more experienced players can be more fun, add in different things. So the basic set of those, you get 8 of those now with the basic sort of funding goal level, if you like, of the game. And they're cool things, that they allow you to do the kind of hot potato thing, which allows you to sort of deflect attacks from players onto your adjacent players, that kind of stuff. And
all right, okay, that's kind of cool.
And because it's all about creating combos, so yeah, tiny explanation for those that haven't or don't know anything about Elements. It's basically each of the dice, there's 4 different alien races, there's 4 different main elements: air, earth, fire, and water, although there is a wild energy as well, which is like a joker, so you can use that matched to other symbols, which takes away some of the randomness that people would say, yeah, but a dice-based game, it's just totally random. It's by luck. If you have a bad day, it doesn't work. Well, having the wild joker on one side of the dice greatly alleviates that, because it's your decision on whether you want to use that to match it to another symbol or not, because the danger is that if you roll too many of those wild symbols at the same time, it's you've shot your bolt, and it's the end of it's the end of the round for you, So it's a risk versus reward thing,
Yeah.
which makes for a lot more tactical thinking in what's essentially a dice matching thing. So the game boards have various different combos that each of the players can launch, and they can be things like just messing with the other players and denying them being able to complete their own combos, or it's obviously launching attack combos of your own. But a lot of the avatar tiles shake that up by allowing you to flip your opponent's tiles to different sides and forcing rerolls. And say, for example, there's a heal mechanic, obviously, because if you start off with 7 dice, of course, or say, for example, you've lost a couple of dice, so you're down to 5 dice, for example, it's harder for that player to heal and get those dice back to make them back up to 7 than it is for a player with, say, only 1 or 2 dice. And that's because there's a 1 in 3 chance on every dice to be able to roll your own symbol. So as long as you roll all of the dice with your own symbol, then you get a dice back, you heal. It's an automatic free action. So that's great, because that means that the weaker players, the ones that have suffered more dice loss than anybody else, that they're lower on their life points, actually have more of a chance of staying in the game and healing up and protecting themselves again. So with that balance, it's great to be able to have special little one-use functions, the avatar tiles, that allow you to either help yourself or to mess with other players in their goes. And that's another thing that we've heard a lot of people, like the guys at Meeples Anonymous, said they far prefer Elements to something like King of Tokyo, because King of Tokyo, you basically just roll the dice, you decide what to do, you move on to the next player. And although I have to say I'm a huge fan of King of Tokyo, I do love playing it with all of the card options and everything in there. When it comes down to it, there's very little interaction between players apart from I hit you, right, it's your turn, you hit me. But so knowing that and loving that game, when we created this, we wanted to say, look, we want to get maximum interaction into this game. So that is really the heart of how the dice work and how each player works with all of these different things going on. So there's a lot of tactical decision making, because it's, shall I use this avatar tile now? Shall I use it? Shall I hang on and keep it for later? But if that's risky, because somebody else could get rid of it, could remove it from me before I get a chance to use it, and this kind of stuff going on.
Yeah.
And
so sounds like it's being it's quite aggressive in terms of how it plays, or it can be.
Yeah, that's a tricky word to use, but it is a last man standing player elimination game, which I know will instantly put quite a lot of gamers off. But it was originally, the base core game is originally designed as a gateway game for any kind of gamer that likes chucking dice. And when it comes down to it, that's the kind of games that they can understand quickly. All right, I've got a load of dice. I'm going to attack the other players. I'm going to try and reduce their dice down to 0 until I'm the winner. And that's it, and that's it in a nutshell. So what's funny is, although we don't like to use the word sort of particularly aggressive game, what's interesting to see is if you watch families playing the game, the parents are being kind of fair, and the kids are going hell for leather to destroy you utterly.
See, I think aggressive is justified. Just as soon as you're mentioning kind of families getting involved.
Yeah, exactly. So it's great to watch, because the kids do, of all ages, they absolutely love playing the game, because you've got that kind of, they're as good as the grown-ups, and they can give as good as they get, and that's always really fun to see. I'm always totally in favor of inclusive games and games that are for everybody, and so that's what we try to achieve with this one. So in a nutshell, it is kind of an aggressive game, but what we like about the the expansion and the totem boards, which is the other part of the game I haven't mentioned, but basically how they simply work is they're kind of like a battery that supports you as a player during the game. So because the backstory is all about the dice are effectively energy, and you're absorbing this energy and converting it into your elemental form, whether it's water or fire or air or whatever, then basically your totem is a kind of big spirit totem thing which stands next to you on the battlefield and acts as a kind of a buffer to incoming attacks, but also to it's a battery to supply you with extra energy, but that's a limited resource, so that slowly dwindles. So again, you're thinking tactically about, is it too risky to use this now? Should I hang on to that now? Should I launch that? Can I get it back? How's it going to work? So you've got every single player is busy thinking about what they're going to be doing in every single turn. It doesn't matter whose turn it is, who's playing, and everybody else is thinking like, oh, okay, can I mess with him, or is it better to leave him to attack her because that eases it up on me, and then when I come back in, and you got this kind of cross thinking that goes on all the time. So yeah, so although essentially it's a dice chucking game, there's a lot more to it than that. There you go. How long was that? 20 minutes?
You can breathe now.
Yeah. Right, I'm gonna have another glug of beer.
You sound it's really interesting, the number of kind of campaigns that I've seen that have got the phrase relaunch next to them. And what's interesting is the number of ones that kind of they all come back kind of bigger and stronger and kind of sail to the funding goals. And just listening to you just now, there's a lot of kind of there's a lot of excitement and there's a lot of fight in what you're saying, a lot of passion in what you're saying as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, every designer, every designer really is going to give 120% into everything they do. That's only natural, because if you don't show that, if you're holding back and you're not giving it your all, then I think that's going to come through at some point, and people are going to turn away and say, well, what's going on there? This is why, I mean, for us, this is a relaunch, but we actually see it as like it's more of a phoenix rising from the ashes, in the sense that we've changed so much of the way we're doing the Kickstarter, that hopefully it will appeal much more to the Kickstarting crowd, and just shows that in a sense we're giving 130% this time, because it's one of these things, there is so many new developers coming out on Kickstarter every week, and I think it's rightfully important to consider every single one of those and think, well, is that looks like a worthy cause? Can I be involved in that? Can I kickstart back that? Can I support that developer? And I think, it shows if you're passionate about what you're doing, then that's going to rub off, and it rubs off on other people, whether you're a playtester or just a member of the public or another developer or designer that you're talking with. We're a great group together, and everybody supports everybody else, and it's a fantastic kind of sector of the market to be in. But if we don't score, if we don't sort ourselves out, do well on these early Kickstarters, well then something is clearly wrong, and where are we going to go from there? So I mean, as I said to you before, and it's we've got Gladiators is our second game that's on the cards, and we were super chuffed to see it was Tabletop Gaming Magazine's sort of one of the top 10 for...
I saw that. Did you know about that before it came out? Were you kind of given, we're going to be, this is going to be in the magazine, or was it kind of like a surprise thing for you?
Oh no, we did know about it. It's always, they've got so many games to review, look at, and decide on.
Absolutely.
These like indie developers, they're just sort of starting out with their sort of first first game or second game or whatever, it's major kudos to get into the gaming magazine in the UK. But so we did know about it, but it was a kind of case of, well, give us some information about it. That sounds quite interesting, and we'll sort of let you know. So
Yeah.
we sent off our blurb and we sent off some images, and shebang, there we were. And so that's fantastic, and hopefully that means that will drive a fair bit of interest to our stand at UK Games Expo.
What stand are you at?
So we're at J19, or Jai, I should say, since we're in Scotland. J19, J Justin, yeah. J19, yeah.
I was going to say J for juice, and then I thought
that's rubbish.
That's just rubbish. This entire area is mine. It's J for Justin.
That's it, yeah.
I decided where you're coming and going.
You laugh, but I'm going to be out there with a spray can marking, Bad Cat Game Street on the floor, at 6 a.m. before everybody else gets there.
You're going to be tagging the place like you're a Beastie Boy.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, we'll be running amok.
Are you going to be wearing your baseball cap backwards then?
That's a good point. I was going to wear a baseball cap, so I better make sure it's on backwards. Yeah.
Throwing up gang signs and stuff like that. Going, boy.
That's it, exactly, yeah. Well, we'll be bumping into Kev, who'll be doing the same, I should think.
Oh, good old Kev.
Yeah.
But you also bumped into Colin as well. Just to confirm once again that Colin does actually exist as a person. Because people were thinking for a while I was actually recording two sides of the conversation. It's not true. Colin does exist.
Does indeed, yes.
Colin played Gladiatores.
Yep. Yeah, they had a blast, and that was great again.
Yes.
Too. So because we changed a few things up as well. So although the game's pretty much finished, there's still tweaks and tucks that we can probably do, and so that's always great to be able to see a bunch of new players play it and see what the feedback is. So that was really good, yes, and it was nice to see.
Well, it was mentioned on Friday as well at Dwarf, so it was brought up again. Yeah,
heck, we should go back then.
Because actually Neil, who played, who's the guy with the moustache?
Oh yeah,
yeah. And he just says, yeah, that's that game. Yeah, that game was brilliant. There you go.
Yeah, well, that's right. It was great because I'm obviously used to demoing, so it's a case of you sort of cut down the game to just an explanation of the core principles and the basic bits and the layout and everything, and then you sort of say, give it a go, see what you think, but you don't expect them to necessarily play through the entire game, because they've got other things to do, and I'm never pushy that way, but it was funny, watching them play that first round of the game, because normally you play it in 4 rounds, so it's like 4 events, 4 different gladiators, you shake it up every time. And so it's I did my usual spiel of, so there we go, it looks like you enjoyed it, what do you think, give me some feedback. And they were going like, yeah, that was really cool, can we play another round? I was like, yeah, okay, yeah, sure, fine, yeah, okay, I'll reset everything. And they stayed there, and they were there for a good hour and a half and played like 3 rounds, bang, 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 one after another, and had a blast. So, yeah, so that's fantastic, because that's what you want to see. Nothing was thrown out that just seemed odd or didn't work. In the game, nothing odd that was poked at. So I think we're pretty much there with Gladiators, and it seems from sort of random Joe public point of view, it's really good fun. So fingers crossed we'll get lots of people coming to see us at Games Expo.
That'll be cool. So that's Jai or J19,
something like that. Yeah.
So going back to Elemenz.
Yes, should we? Yes, all right.
We should mention 2 very, very important things. How long is it going to last for? How long is the campaign going for?
Right, so we're actually running this for 40 days rather than 30, which seems like a scary thing. But in fact, we've done that on purpose to give the American reviewers a chance and time to basically get a copy and fit it into their schedule and do a review on it. So that just gives them a wee bit more time. Because we've only got so many copies that are floating around in the US at the moment, and it's all very well to turn up and say, like, can you review our games by next week? It's not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it's the case of it's getting it about America as well.
It is,
actually getting it from one side of the States to the other, You know, if you've got reviewers in different states, it's getting them to play the game, having the time to play the game, writing everything up, and then being comfortable about them, you know, finishing off the review, sending it to you before they send the kind of the game on. So it's a lot of time kind of taken up.
Aye, that's exactly it. And it seems, you know, I mean, you've made contact with them. They've shown an interest. They're keen to put their time and effort into looking at your game, whether they're going to like it or not. But they're putting in the effort there for them to say, "Oh, could you also take it up to the post office and post it to somebody else?" kind of thing. It's like, oh, what are these guys like? So yeah, you know, so it's absolutely fair enough. So
is it coming back to this whole cost thing on Kickstarter? Because it's a case of if you've got review copies. I've seen it kind of, I think it can happen more and more, is that you can't just have people handing out review copies left, right and centre. These type of things, you know, they cost money to produce. And a lot of the time they'll cost a lot more to produce as a single unit than actually getting them to print like 500 off once the game's kind of funded and everything like that. So it's another one of these little investments that a lot of people maybe don't have the funds to kind of
Aye, that's
jump
right.
in and
Yeah.
pay for it, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. I mean, they do. Yeah, I mean, the prototypes cost astronomically more than sort of an individual unit, obviously, because the published game is going to be mass produced at whatever scale. But these prototype copies, you know, even if they're sort of production copies, yeah, they cost a huge amount, and they do get battered, and you know, and the scariest thing for me is if stuff gets lost, you know. You know, it's if it so happens that a dice goes missing, you know, out of a box when it's on its way from somewhere to somewhere else, then effectively the game breaks at that point. You know, you can't play the game. You can't just replace it. No, because you'd be sitting there saying, well, you've got a copy, but yeah, sadly there's a couple of dice missing. Hang on, I'll put some more in the post to you. And, you know, that takes another 10 days, nearly 2 weeks to get there. And it's just, you know, you've got to factor all of this kind of stuff in. So yeah, it's, I mean, it would be a fine thing if, you know, we were all at the stage where we could just literally say, well, let's just get 40 or 50 copies made by the manufacturer, and we'll just fire out those copies. I mean, the big companies can do that, and we all aspire, I think, to be able to get to that stage and be able to do that. But the truth, I think, is that, you know, everybody is kind of doing the best that they can with the funds that they have available to give it their best shot. And that's what I was saying, you know, putting their 120% effort in to make it as good as possible. And you know, I don't think anybody can say fairer than that.
How much is it going to be to get yourself a copy of the Elemenz?
Right, it's exactly the same as before, £24, which is roughly $30, I think. And I don't know what that's in euro because it changes every 5 minutes. But
it's probably
it's
about
close to about
27, I think.
Yeah, it's probably about 28 and a half, something like that. But definitely under the 30 mark. And actually, what we've done again to support the backers and to support this Kickstarter run, we've actually looked very, very carefully at the postage and are basically sub-funding part of that postage ourselves again, to try and keep that postage down, because we're all in the same boat. You know, if I want to get something from America, it's going to cost a fortune in postage to come across to me. So you know,
tell me about it. I've seen that.
Yeah, I know, we all suffer it. So so the postage we've actually managed to reduce a wee bit. What we can't unfortunately offer is free postage to like the UK, Europe and America, for example, but we've kept it as absolutely as low as possible. Because yeah, you know, we're Kickstarter backers ourselves, so we know exactly how it feels and what to be expected. So
I think people are used to kind of like, especially nowadays, you know, watching it fund and then get the postage kind of charged later on. I think I've seen a lot of campaigns do that nowadays, just because having, you know, if you've got a £10,000 goal and it turns out that £1,500 of that is going to cover is going to be postage, then you've actually not reached your goal. You're still 1,500 shy of your actual production goal.
Yeah,
it depends on obviously how you've kind of you've costed it in. But I've seen it more and more that people are saying, well, actually, the Kickstarter is to fund the game. And then what we'll do is we'll give you a rough idea of how much the shipping is going to be kind of afterwards,
that's exactly it.
which is I think is a fair thing to do. I mean, there's going to be there can be in some ways a difference between you sending 100 parcels out there and you being able to secure a better deal to send 400 or 1,000 parcels out there. It's all these lovely logistical extras that you've got to go, and then you get the thing about, okay, I was sending it to the UK, I was also sending it to the US, I was sending it to Germany. Oh, I've got a guy in Thailand that wants a copy, kind of thing. I've got to work out the logistics and kind of that. It all sounds kind of exciting stuff, and it sounds like you're very, very focused. You're very, very fired up.
It's going to be a blast.
I would encourage people that if you did not check out the first time that myself and Justin spoke, that you go back and check out that, because it was a fascinating chat, because we got into talk about education in board games.
Oh, that's right.
If I remember correctly.
Yes, one of your tangents. Yeah. Or maybe I started that. Did I start that? I think I started that. Actually.
I'm going to say that was. I'm going to say that was you, and I'm going to pleasantly walk away from the entire situation.
No, but that was very interesting. Yeah, that was. Well, it's just our opinions, so of course our opinions are interesting. Yeah.
Well, our opinions are obviously always right as well, which is always good.
Yeah.
As I say, opinion outweighs fact.
That's it, every time.
Every single time. For those who, what we'll do is, as soon as we get the link to the Kickstarter, it'll go in the show notes. In fact, it'll probably be sitting in the show notes by the time you listen to this episode. For people that want to, if they're listening just now and they want to take a look at things, as I say, Kickstarter link will be in the show notes. But if they want to find you on Twitter, it is it twitter.com/badcatgames?
Yeah, or just look for us at badcatgames and you'll find us. Yeah, that's
there
it.
You go.
And Facebook as well.
The website is badcatgames.eu.
It is .eu at the moment. Yeah.
The Facebook account is facebook.com/badcatgames.
Always good. Listen to him.
I'm telling you,
he knows them all.
Instagram is instagram.com/badcatgames.
You tripped up there. Yeah, basically.
I did, but that was just because.
Just type in Bad Cat Games and you'll find us. And in fact, we've got an Elemenz page on Facebook as well now, so that's even easier. Just type in Elemenz with a Z on the end, not an N.
Or a Z.
Or a Z, yes, for our American compatriots. Yeah,
you got to remember the Z.
Yeah.
Elemenz.
Yeah, Elemenz.
Yeah, that's it. Elemenz. That was that other hilarious joke that that probably got us banned in several places.
Several small countries.
We will put. As normal, we will copy and paste from the previous show notes into the new ones, so we have notes to show. We're all about recycling, and we're also all about me doing as little as possible. But we'll do this. We'll put all the notes in the show notes, so we have notes to show. As I said, we'll put the link back for the previous episode, because this has all been about Elemenz. But Justin is certainly an interesting chap to chat to, so it's worthwhile going back and listening to that previous episode. As per usual, if you want to keep up with what we're doing, you lovely people, then you can find us at We're Not Wizards. You just search the internets and you shall find us. We are on facebook.com/We're Not Wizards. We are on Twitter, We're Not Wizards. We are on Instagram, We're Not Wizards. We are on YouTube. If you search for We're Not Wizards Tabletop Podcast, you will find us. You'll find us under the fantastic Apple Podcasts, because they're not called iTunes anymore, and I was corrected on this the other day. If you like what you've heard tonight, leave us a review, but as we always say, don't give us a 10, because it'll make us big-headed. Don't give us a 1, because it'll make us cry. But give us a 5, because it's right in the middle, and it's average, and we are decidedly average. But the gentleman who's not been average tonight is Mr. Justin Morgan Davies. So, listen, best of luck. Hand on my heart, best of luck with the campaign, mate. I hope it goes really, really well for you. We are going to have Justin back on the show again, because we're going to go into a lot more detail about Gladiatores.
Yeah.
Or Gladiators. That's going to be one to look forward to in probably August, September time this year.
Oof.
I think.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it depends when we're ready. We don't want to rush these things, so yeah. So we'll wait.
We just recorded a deadline for you.
Yeah,
So
you did. Thanks for that. Yeah, do you want to just slap a date on there as well?
August 21st,
oh my
guys.
God. No, I might just have to be out of the room then.
You might just have to be somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
Fighting evil in another dimension, but
yeah.
Yeah, keep an eye on this. We'll keep the Kickstarter link up as soon as we have it. Take a look at Elemenz. It's looking stunning, the artwork. I've seen the preview Kickstarter page. It looks absolutely wonderful.
Thank you.
Well worth a glance, well worth a consideration. Justin, thank you very, very much for coming on again.
No problem. Well, thanks for having us on. It's always fun.
There's only a couple of things to remember. And the first thing is that we are many things, but we're not wizards.
Well, I don't know. I'm currently an elemental sorcerer, if that counts. Does that count?
Right, okay. Get out.
Well, okay.
Are we wizards, Justin?
Eh?
Are we wizards?
No, we're definitely not wizards.
Definitely, that's good.
No,
good,
no.
Good. I'm glad you
just agreed
answered
with that. Yeah.
I would hate to accidentally lose the track. And the second thing is I guess to say goodbye. Just as a quick aside, tonight the game that the mic was on was actually Super Dungeon Explore by Cool Mini or Not, for anybody that was paying attention on Twitter earlier on this evening. But in the meantime, it is a goodbye from the wonderful, the fantastic, the amazing Justin from Bad Cat Games. Say goodbye, Justin.
Bye, folks.
And it is a goodbye from me. Roll dice. Try not to roll all matching ones, because that'll scunner you.
Yeah.
Stay safe.
Yeah.
Check out Elemenz when it comes out. The link's in the show notes. Give it a look, and look at giving it a back as well. And until the next time, goodbye. 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 Say bye-bye, Justin.
All right, okay, bye. I thought it was told to leave, so.
No, I never tell you to leave.
All right.
You can stay.
Yeah, bye, folks. Bye.
Bye.